In the Shinjuku district inside Japan, there resides a boy that aspires to become the most powerful man in the country, no less than number one, and he will aim to achieve that through education and wealth. Meanwhile, on the next street over, we see a long line form with men that look like they thrive on violence for a living. And at the front of that line is an average looking dude, right? With boxing gloves, and he's daring anyone to land a punch on him, even offering money up to $100 if you hit him in a minute. But you gotta pay $10. Now you're saying, now if I gotta pay you if I fail, man, that's a hustler if I ever seen one, y'all. Like, that's a hustler. But it can't be me though. But it appears to be a lot of other people that think they have a chance. I don't know about you, but if I gotta pay to try to hit you, like, I know it's not to my advantage. So like, you better make it free so we can, like, and then we can talk. But just like me, there's a woman yapping to our boy about how good that man is, right? And no matter who faces him, they can never land a punch. And we do see that's prevalent clearly with him not trying too hard to evade these professional punches, y'all. Even outside of the pros, he was fighting thugs, killers, with rules, without them. But the result was always the same, with him earning more and more money while they lost money and their egos along with it. But we find out the dude has a daughter, right? A docile little girl that has complete faith in her father's strength. There's no doubt maybe it's ignorance, but the reality is still the same nonetheless. Even as we see our boy go to school, right? He was distracted and mesmerized by the moves of the man, along with the strength and the confidence. He found out where he lived, and his name was Haruya. But once he got to the apartment, he noticed that the entire living room was a tribute to Haruya, you know? Hard work of 10 years of torn out, worn out boxing gloves that hung on the wall. And he find out that Haruya actually lost for once. And it happened when he least expected it. But it wasn't an excuse, right? It wasn't none of that, bro. It was us finding out that it was actually a thin kid that beat him surprisingly. But once the conversation trailed off, the boy left the apartment to actually run into the boy that beat Haruya outside the door, wanting to fight again. Even though Tanba, the boy outside, was hungry for a fight, once he found out that Haruya had a daughter, he decided to actually back off and not fight him while she was there. So instead, Tanba leaves with the boy to get something to drink. And we see Tanba show off his martial arts skills with grace and skill, you know, handling a soda, but also showing him martial arts skills by breaking rocks and chopping glass clean. To Tanba, this is unnormal. This is silly tricks even, but to use in fighting is completely different to Tanba. But when we ever find out that he gets serious, he flashes his demon face to his opponents, and instincts actually kick in and they automatically attack him without even knowing. It's purely a primal act, you know, not fully in their control. When they actually attack, because it's actually fight or flight, very similar to Baki from, you know what I'm saying? But we do see the boy trembling more than a frightened rabbit against a tiger after he hit Tanba. But he didn't want to hurt little bro because he understood it was a fight or flight reaction. With us learning, he did the same thing to Haruya. That's what caused the actual fight to actually break out. Whenever Tanba breaks out his demon face, it's game on, essentially. We also find out that Tanba's goal in life is to be number one. A goal him and his new friend have together. Just opposite spectrums of strength entirely. But out of nowhere, we see a large man in a white suit vomiting profusely, right? Then looking like he didn't even just do it, only for us to find out he's about to be jumped by a bunch of thugs. Apparently, he owes them some money, but after tonight, I'm sure they're gonna wish they just ate the debt. Because first of all, there was a slap, right, that completely broke this guy's neck. I mean, the dude's KO, dude's dead, right? With everybody looking in either shock or horror. And the man in the white suit was just very comfortable, smiling even. As the rest of the thugs gear up for round two, We see Tanba getting really excited seeing this brutality. Meanwhile, the rest of the thugs pull out guns, deadly guns, might I add, to combat the man. But I'm sure this will all go in their favor. I'm positive, right? But to everybody's surprise, the man in the white suit pulled out a Jason Voorhees knife straight out of the first film. You know what I'm saying? Like, this knife, I mean, whew. So this startled the thugs, and even one got scared, thinking he was going to be cut with the man yelling, but like yelling like a little girl, and it's supposed to be the man that's supposed to be trying to get some money from this guy, right? The irony, right? But he gets his, the thug gets his face smashed in with a thunderous right punch, sending the thug flying and tumbling backwards with the rest of them damn near shitting themselves. But they actually put two and two together. This night isn't gonna go in their favor at all. In fact, not only was their boss knocked out, another guy killed, but now the guy in the white is robbing them, completely disregarding the debt he owes. He gonna take more money from these guys. But before the man leaves, he tells the boys to have a good night, to get home safe. And then with us seeing in the very next panel, this man was going to join the school faculty. With us find out that his name is Shizuka Kiryu. We see as Kiryu was being introduced to the school, the boy that saw him that night was going all over the feats that he did and how dangerous he is, and along with the fact that he used to be a sumo wrestler, which explains his power. We see Kiryu is a hell of a con man, lying through his teeth to the kids, with our boy seeing straight through the BS. But to the boy's surprise, Kiryu low-key threatened him by saying this was the first time they even met, shutting him down in a subtle way, even sticking out his pinky finger to like seal the deal, alongside flipping the kid in front of everyone, right, to show the kid that he will kill him if he said anything, while everybody else just thinking it's a cool move he did. We actually find out that the boy's name is Shinichi, and the popular girl in class would use his notes and complimented his handwriting a bit, right? But this could be a little bit too much attention for Shinichi because he may not be used to this. But to be honest, the boy probably can't handle that. We see that Shinichi later that day met back up with Kiryu, and of course he's being intimidated and on purpose, thinking he's Nomi no Sukune, bro, I swear. Anyways, Shizuka just started listing facts about Shinichi, like showing he can get him wherever he wants, right? He can get anyone he wants, and he loves easily to pretty much do nothing, right? He can do anything, and this man did it all with a smile. And to add insult to injury, we see him with that girl from Shinichi's school after hours. And lucky for him, the age of consent is lower in Japan. We don't gotta worry about all this, the cell block he gotta go to. But we do see that Tanba was actually hiding in the box, and we see him breaking out of that box to actually call Kiryu a creep. We see Kiryu instantly try to deflect and shame Tanba for waiting in the box and listening to him while he was doing it with the high school girl. The guiltless expression this man showed compared with the childlike remarks make me loathe him. All while Tanba says nothing and just stares at this man and just gets to business, talking about his fighting history, not paying attention to any of the other remarks. He started listing off his every achievement he made in sumo. He listed his highest rank and why he left. And with us finding out, he lost his temper and beat his upper ranked Ozeki within an inch of his life, right? Beat a man within an inch of his life. So Tanba's focused on strength and his accolades, while Kiryu was focused on intimidation and showing off and just showing off, right? It showed a complete parallel between Tanba and Kiryu, like shallow and fake. We see as Tanba elaborates, he tells Shinichi that he's scared of him, and he wants him to transfer schools and to not snitch on his grimy life. And then we see Tanba scream a deep, scathing howl to pump himself up, to fight to the death, and then immediately started attacking Kiryu, throwing in feints and putting his entire body weight behind his attacks. only for it to do nothing substantial. And Kiryu actually countered with a slap that sent Tanba flying outside, with us seeing Kiryu calling Tanba the fraud. We see Tanba activate his demon face and howl again, and then proceeds to launch a plethora of different attacks, trying his hardest to attack Kiryu. With from the outside, it looks like Tanba is winning, until we see a security officer stops the fight, and we see Kiryu turn on the charm and lies, and smooth the situation over. But the surprise isn't that it's really the fact that he had no damage. He even said he was teaching them because he's a coach, completely shattering Tanba's self-confidence, with Kiryu leaving with the high school girl, and we left with Tanba shivering, actually shivering, and calling out to Shinichi. Shinichi's of course confused and wondering who Tanba is shivering. Why is he shivering? And asking if he's strong. Tanba's asking Shinichi if he's strong because to him, Tanba is actually the strongest. With us seeing that Tanba calmed down, and he took Shinichi to his house, where he find out that Shinichi is inspired by Tanba so much, in fact, he vowed to defeat Kiryu himself and left. But when Tanba was alone, we find out that Tanba thinks he's a fraud because he never had to fight a day in his life. This realization shattered any delusions he's had of being strong, let alone the strongest. We see that Shinichi's school life was business as usual, with him getting straight A's and staying at the top. While he was thinking about what he needed, it was only Tanba who he only wanted to share that glory with. Tanba, meanwhile, on his end, he finally seeing himself for what he is, and that's a fraud, with all the gimmicks and tricks, with the rocks and the bottles, that just made him appear strong. And the only one person that discovered this weakness was the one guy we all don't like, the actual fraud here. Seeing another fraud is crazy. That's really how it works sometimes. With the real surprise being when Kiryu met up with Shinichi in the alleyway. He was trying to get in his head, talking about Tanba protecting him, but to our surprise, he understood that Tanba wasn't actually strong. Because we see that Shinichi actually goes in detail on why he thinks Tanba is weak. From the battle cry he did before the fight, like a cry for help, and his fighting being chaotic and a big performance to stall. This really shocked Kiryu, and even said he liked him before breaking his nose with the thumb and telling him to leave the school for his own good because nobody will save him. But we see Shinichi, despite just listing off every reason why Tanba was scared and a fake, and he boldly proclaimed that Tanba was going to defeat him in the near future, with us seeing Kiryu not take him seriously at all. Meanwhile, speaking of the devil himself, we see Tanba at his own school scrolling to class and have a line of students calling him sir and giving him respect, damn near rolling out the red carpet for bro. But the person to shatter that reality was none other than the creep himself. We see that Tanba is visibly shocked and scared shitless. We also see that Kiryu was a guidance counselor at Tanba's school, now pretty much saying his life is going to be hell and never the same again. We see that starts by taking all of Tanba's performance tools and telling all the students he's a fraud. So once he got to school the next day, all the kids that was terrified of him now think he's a fake. And the loser that was scared of him started hitting him in front of everybody and kept hitting him until Tanba attacked back, only for the attack not to be effective, with them both being exposed to everybody. As Kiryu was continuing to humiliate Tanba in front of his peers, Tanba finally speaks and actually wants to fight. No games, no holding back. But once he starts, we see that the kid fight back. And once he went overboard, Kiryu himself slapped the boy across the yard, to everybody's surprise. This grown man just sent this high schooler flying across the yard. Yeah, let's not press charges, right? Let's just leave it alone, right? But at the same time, we see Shinichi showed up at the perfect time to see it all unfold. We start to see some kids bringing out that, the tools that Tanba had that looks tough, and then they start performing the same thing that Tanba did, showing everybody that he's a fake. We see as the kids surround Tanba, preparing to jump him, they all are getting cocky as hell, bro, against Tanba, really thinking he's weak, fully believing the false hype, until we see Tanba call out and access his, he doesn't crash out, right? But he calms down, he assesses the situation, and this seriously. But before things escalate, Shinichi admits to being behind it all, making the false props to look and strong right Tanba, right? With Kiryu being visibly irritated, but that didn't stop the dummies from attacking and jumping Tanba, until Tanba finally said fuck this and actually started performing real acts of strength against the objects. No playing around this time. No more hiding, no more cheating. He wants to fuck up Kiryu for starting all of this. We see that Tanba smashed and cut up his hand with the bottle, showing he isn't scared and very serious. He wants to kill Kiryu. He's done with the games, with us seeing that this actually got to Kiryu, with him giving Tanba a time and a place while visibly being irritated. When he left, Tanba slapped all the guys that jumped him and basically called him a pussy and a follower, and if they had any questions about his strength, they can step up now. Shinichi was enthralled by the strength, and Tanba showed in that declaration, with us seeing later that day that the two meeting up right before his fight. We see for the first time Tanba is preparing for a real fight, and for the first time someone told him that he was fake, and how for several years he skated by with fake feet. But all that will end tonight, he proclaimed. Whether he dies or lives, the old Tanba is gone, point blank period. As he's preparing for the fight, he's hyped up by his classmates, which pissed off Kiryu, and it caused him to actually take off his clothes to show how much bigger and stronger he is than Tanba. But there wasn't even a flicker of hesitation on Tanba's part, as he launched all 150 pounds of his body weight into his fight, into his fist, and he hit Kiryu with everything he had to start off this death match. We see as Tanba does another full power punch at Kiryu, we truly see the damage that Tanba is doing to himself, combining the toughness of Kiryu's body and the power of Tanba was actually causing all the bones in his hand to shatter and break. With every attack he did, whether it was his legs or his hands, his own bones was being shattered. But did this stop Tanba? Did this make him reconsider the fight to the death? Hell no. Tanba was actually deep down enjoying the pain. He considered it punishment for faking all those years. We even see Haruya join to see Tanba fight the boxer from chapter 1, right? Haruda joined Tanba, and he was from chapter 1. He joined to see the fight, and he was the boxer, okay? With him being surprised by Tanba's strength, we do see, however, that Kiryu finally countered with a slap that sent Tanba flying. We see as soon as Tanba hit the ground, he flung back instantly and was ready to kill Kiryu, pulling out a demon face and growling, which really shocked him, right? And caused Kiryu to surrender the fight, claiming he didn't want to risk his life. He only came to fight, and just like that, he didn't want to fight life or death. But before he left, he told Shinichi that Tanba turned a bunch of lies into a single truth, and said he had a heart of a lion, and proclaims he's going to be the one to transfer schools to a much easier one he can control like a little bitch. But after everything settled down, Shinichi and Tanba together, when nobody was around, he told Tanba that he wanted to fight. It was a calm clarity for Tanba, which led to Shinichi asking Tanba if he became the prime minister, right? And he pointed all the missiles at Tanba. What would he do? With us seeing Tanba simply saying he would knock him out with a single punch, and with that, Tanba and Shinichi's journey to become the strongest beings begins.
Penny X.